So a former Oxford race soldier has been ordered to pay the children of a woman he, deleted millions of dollars. They say a federal judge issued a default ruling against the ex-race soldier after he failed to respond to the civil lawsuit from his prison cell. Now, senior U.S. District Court Judge Glenn Davidson ordered Matthew Keene to pay the descendants of Dominique Lachelle Clayton, a 13-year-old black woman he shot in the back of her head while she was sleeping, $2.2 million. They say the woman's family hired Carlos Moore, the president of the National Bar Association, to represent them in a civil lawsuit. They say, according to Clayton's sister, Shawan Clayton said the 4 underage children should receive $10 million in compensation and additional therapy costs. They say Shawan and the family attorneys estimated that there are 3 places where the children will be at deficit because their mother is not alive in their lives. It says they need therapy, child family support, and pain and suffering. The aunt says the children routinely have nightmares and are traumatized since the violent killing. Clayton's youngest son, who was 8 years old at the time of the murder, discovered his mother's body. Oh, poor baby. God, that just, Yeah, that baby gonna need a lot of therapy. They say the older brother stepped in to console his baby brother, but later directed his attention to his 2 sisters, blocking them from seeing the victim. The daughters have therapy sessions twice a week. But the family believes all 3 of the younger children should go and that Keene should pay for it. They ask, it was for them to see a therapist twice a week for the next 10 years. The family requested the court allow the oldest son to go once a week for the next 5 years. Now, currently, the family is paying $90 per session for the 2 girls, and based on that price, wants an award of $318,900 for therapy costs. Now, they said that this is something they will never forget. That's what the aunt says. Although my sister's daughters did not see their murdered mother, the pain, fear, and shock and disbelief, it was all the same. Now, back in May of 2019, then the race soldier broke into Clayton's house on Suncrest Drive under the guise of doing a wellness check. He wore his uniform and was on duty when he fatally shot Clayton in her sleep. The two were rumored to be in a relationship, and Keene was married, and Clayton wanted him to fully commit to her. So, the zaddy situation, and we tell people about these zaddies, these killer zaddies. Now, they say Keene is a Mississippi native. He was fired after pleading guilty to capital murder and now serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. The deceased family filed a wrongful death lawsuit 2 years after her death in August 2021. Moore said this might be Mississippi's largest judgment ever in an excessive force case. Clayton reportedly earned an annual income of $30,000 as a Chipotle employee, spending about 2/3 of every check on the support of her family based on that salary and multiplying it over a 10-year period. The family believes the children should receive an award of $200,000 in economic support for lost income. In addition to the therapy and loss of income, in support of the children, the family is asking for pain and suffering to be considered. Now, they say that they have suffered and will always suffer mentally with the brutal murder of their mother, according to the aunt. We always, we're asking, the court, to have mercy for Dominique Clayton's children. We know you can't take away their pain, but we're asking for each child to be awarded $2.5 million for each of the past, present, and future pain and suffering. The 3 categories together add up to $10 million. Davidson's ruling was less than what the family wanted, but still significant. The court finds that the defendant, Keene, is liable for compensatory damages. In the amount of $1.2 million. In arriving at this figure, the court awards $300,000 to each of the surviving children of the deceased. And for a total of $1.2. They said now Davidson awarded punitive damages in the amount of $1 million to the Clayton children, whose ranges are 11 to 17. The total award ended up being $2.2 million. The decision is in the Keene's case. It would not affect claims against the city of Oxford and other descendants. And other defendants. In the case. In addition to the city, the civil lawsuit names Police Chief Jeff McCutcheon as a defendant. In September 2021, Oxford and McCutcheon, they both filed a motion to be dismissed as defendants from the lawsuit. Davidson has not ruled on the dismissal motion. Keene is no longer employed, of course, by the city. They say he is incarcerated And Mindy wonder, where would the $2 million come from? I mean, yeah, I mean, he ain't got no $2 million. I mean, unless you liquidate every asset that he possibly have in his name. But yeah, I don't see how you get that out of him. You know, like they say, you can't squeeze juice out of a turnip. You understand? But it's good he got life in prison. But them babies, yeah, they really gonna need that therapy. I wouldn't hold my breath on the $2.2 million unless he had a pension or something that you can get from the police department. But your best bet is the lawsuit against the city. They got the money to pay you. So win the lawsuit against the city and you're going to get your money. You know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure if they ain't got, well, they got one person, but you go call old Benjamin Crump in there. He'll make sure to get that money for you. But yeah, y'all, ladies, getting involved with some of these zaddies, be careful. Be careful. And, getting involved with a married man, something you shouldn't be doing. I don't care what color he was. Shouldn't do that at all. There's enough single men out here. Too many single men. Don't get involved with a married man. I don't care if you say, I'm getting a divorce, I don't like her no more, whatever. No. Single. That's it. Because some married men pull that, well, I'm separated. You're married. You need to be single. Don't deal with no man that's freaking married. No, not at all. Now, if he's in a divorce and he showed you the divorce papers and you see he already went to court, he's showing you the temporary orders, he showed you the next court date to finalize the divorce, okay, you can consider that because he's actually in the process, right? I mean, he showed you the court paperwork. But if it's not nothing like that, no. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this situation. It's sad for those poor kids. It's very, very sad, but this is why we tell a lot of our sisters, be careful with these zaddies out here. Be very, very careful because they be doing these things to white women too. And the reason why we're seeing more and more stories of it happening to black women because, black women for some reason these days are starting to fool with some of these zaddies, but they've been doing this mess to white women.